Hey everybody, it is your girl, Dr. Kelz, and I am checking in for another podcast episode. And today I want to talk about happiness. What is happiness? What is this concept that we are constantly chasing? What society tells us happiness is? What does it really look like? Let me put my glasses on because y'all know I can't see. And it's important to me that when I'm doing these things, that I am bringing you accurate information. So I'm going to slide on these glasses while you slide on in here, and let's get this conversation started about happiness. The title alone, what is happiness, because it does not look like a Hallmark card, right? Like happiness does not have um, the visual of that Hallmark card in the store. It doesn't for me. And if you have been following me, if you have been in this with me, you know that recently I have been in this place where I keep saying I'm just not happy, right? I don't know what it is, what's going on. I feel like some of that has to do with grief. But for the most part, I'm like, wow, what am I missing? Like, what is this and what's going on? So I get up one morning, I'm like, okay, God, I'm getting my shower and I'm like, I need to hop back on here. I want to be consistent this year. What is it that I can talk about? And when the whole concept of happiness dropped in my lap, with some other things that we're going to talk about as we move forward and we move on. I was going to try to just talk without the video component. And then I was like, maybe somebody wants to see me. I don't know. So welcome to Kicking It with Dr. Kelz. Thank you for hopping in here with me. I appreciate it. This is pre-recorded, obviously, so you'll be able to see it over on YouTube, and you'll be able to see it here too. If you are interested in being a guest, if you want to talk about your business, you have something you want to talk about, please, 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 please hit me up. Let me know. Um, I am learning and I'm growing with the software and the different things that I can do. So I'm excited about that. So bear with me as we move forward. Um, Happiness comes from my rabbit holing, right? Because I always go down a rabbit hole. I have words for it, what it looks like, what it is. I'm sure you do too. But we have the happiness that we are taught to chase, and then the happiness that we end up building, right? This is what I found, and this is what it all kind of comes in together for me. We see Hallmark happy, like I said, that 2.5 kids and a dog, beautiful card. It's snowing today, it's beautiful outside. We see that type of happy. Then we see the type of happy that happens in Hollywood, right? Hollywood happies, these movies, right, that we watch that depict some form of happiness that might align with our lives. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We have human happy, which happiness probably really isn't what it looks like for us, because obviously happiness is individualized. It's individualized for you, for the person next to you. I don't think that there are two things that are the same for people, right? We have kid happy. I recently started another part of my career in an elementary school, and it has really taken me back to a place of child happy, right? Being around kids, little kids, that the joy is just always there all the time. They're happy. There's always lots of laughter going on. It doesn't take a lot to make them laugh either. It's very easy to make them happy. So I have some thoughts about that too, and how being in an elementary school has been good for my soul. You want to find some joy, go be around kids. And then that quiet, happy, that peace, alignment, and meaning that we are all constantly looking for. So let's get into it. If you ever felt like you should be happier than what you are, or maybe it doesn't exist, then this podcast is going to be for you. Um, when I started looking up different things in relation to happiness, well, some of the characteristics that came up that were associated with it were positive emotions, life satisfaction, meaning and purpose, and subjective, meaning, everybody has their own view on what happiness is and what happiness is not. So some people think that happiness is like conditional, right? That it comes with, I don't know what's beeping. I don't even know if you heard that, but it beeped. So hopefully nothing happens. Um, the conditional happiness. This happiness is the type of happiness that if X happens, then Y, right? If this happens, then I'm going to be happy. maybe that's not happiness, right? Because we see all the time people hit the lottery, they come to all this money, and it ends up creating more problems than it does resolving them, right? So maybe that's not it. When something happens that makes us happy, right? We have this life event. Uh, I'll be happy if I'm successful. Uh, I'll be happy if someone chooses me, or I'll be happy if someone validates me, or if I could just get this job, that's what's going to make me happy. And if I get a helpmate, if I get a spouse, if my children are successful, if X, then Y. If X, then Y. If this happens, then I'm going to be happy. Um, that type of happiness is called hedonic happiness, right? And that is Hedonic. It is the type of happiness that focuses on short term, in the present, in the short moment. Something happens. I have pleasure right in this moment, and it's immediate, right? It feels good. Oh, I got the job. I'm elated. Um, Something positive happens to me. We get a stimulus check. Everybody's happy temporarily. What am I going to go buy? You get good news. You graduate. All these wonderful things, right? Someone gets married. It's just focused on, I'm just happy in this moment and I'm hanging on to it. And then when that happiness or that happy moment is done, does the happiness go away? Or do you just constantly just stay in there? Right. So valuing money, fame, status, your desires, hitting all those things that make me happy. Hedonic happiness, right? When I go see my guy. And if you follow me, you know who that is. I'm happy, right? I am happy in the moment. It's pleasurable, having a good time. And then I go home. So that is one type of happiness. But again, what happens when it goes away, right? What happens when it's not there, that it's loud, and you see it and I can grab it and I can obtain it? What happens when it goes away? The job, the money, the relationships, the pause, all of those type of things. So that is one type of happiness, right? The other type of happiness is eudaimonic happiness, Eudaimonic, if anybody wants to look it up. And this is more of a long-term happiness. Um, we're taught to see happiness associated with those short-term successes, but this is the happiness that I believe that we need to work for. Eudaimonic happiness, right? It doesn't show up as excitement all the time. Sometimes it's just calm, it's peace, it's acceptance, right? It has to do with your well-being, your meaning, your purpose in life, where you're going, your potential, self-realization, um, being the best version of yourself, being peace, right? When I was 25, peace wasn't top priority for me, right? Here I am in my 50s and I want a peaceful life, right? That quiet time, that time I have to reflect, that time I have to create, the time that I have to do all these different things. For me, and that's where I'm at in my life. Yes, I'm a go-getter, right? I like different things. I want to be a part of different things. I like those little successes too. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm looking for long-term stability. So when I think about these two different types of levels of happiness, right? I think they coexist together. I just don't think we understand about the purpose, the life purpose, until we've developed like life experience, right? And things look a little bit different for us. Yeah, I'm chasing a bag. I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have the best cars. My house is gonna be lit. I'm gonna provide for my family. We're gonna do X, Y, Z, like all these things. Stability, right? Money, money, money. Attainment. When the reality of the situation is that doesn't always bring, excuse me, peace of mind. So if we look at that stability and the happiness that comes with peace and knowing that I'm living a good life, right? Maybe I'm focusing on other people and not myself. Maybe that's what happiness looks like, giving back. If we were to go into like developmental theory, like Eric Erickson, right, where he says that at every age or every stage of life, like you're achieving something. If you were to look at that theory, when you get all the way up into your later years, the goal is for you to be comfortable and happy with your life and be giving back, right? As you're on your way transitioning. Happiness, I guess, would be what you make it. Is it? Is it? I don't know. Is your happiness dependent on things, or is it dependent on the inner work that you're doing or how you are interacting with the world around you? I don't think that there's any like right or wrong. However, you define happiness is how you define happiness. So, um, in eudaimonic happiness, happiness comes from meaning, alignment, self trust, emotional safety, and purpose. It's not replacing anything. Satisfaction, right? And some of you might be like, you know what? I'm satisfied with the money. Well, be satisfied with the money. It's all good. But where does real happiness begin? You determine that. So in this little like rabbit hole quest thing that I was going through, right? So you have hedonic happiness where you feel pleasure, eudaimonic where you feel purpose. Pleasure, purpose. I think that they both can exist. Tell me what you think. Drop it in the chat. So in all of this, I thought about that movie that Will Smith did with The Pursuit of Happiness. I taught like career ed for several years, and I actually use that movie Pursuit of Happiness to teach like employability skills. Like I would have the kids identify his employability skills. Sometimes we would use it for multiple intelligences, like what is he showing aptitude for, that he can do. The movie brought up more stuff for me, obviously, because I have life experience where these kids don't. But they always ask like why the title was spelled happiness with a Y. Well, it's because it was assumed that that Y represented you and what you do in going for your happiness, right? You are the key ingredient. So when we're looking at Gardner and his journey to do what he did, I don't know if you watched the movie. If you didn't, go watch it. It's good. But he was pursuing happiness in his eyes. I felt like he was chasing a check, right? And he was putting the needs of himself or what he wanted. He ends up losing like his wife, like she's tired, she's working all these doubles, trying to sustain the household. It looks like he has all these grand ideas. So they get into this cycle. And she's just like, finally, she has enough. And he's like, you know what? Me and my son, I got this. They end up going through homelessness or whatever the case may be. Some people would not have chose that direction. But what I want to show you is this part of the movie. I don't know if you seen it, but if you didn't, I want to show you this. So hold on one second. Y'all like that, right? I'm learning. I'm learning. Please hold while I share my screen. Please hold. Please hold. I am learning. I am learning. I am learning. All right. All right. So here's my screen, and I want you to see this part.
Yes, I know there is no sound. There is a technical difficulty. Go to YouTube and search Pursuit of Happiness. Chris gets hired.
So he says this part of my life is what I am calling happiness, right? So if you saw the movie, you know that after everything that he's been through, he's finally offered this job. It changes everything for him, right? It changes everything. He's out of poverty, but in that whole journey for him, he put himself in homelessness. Like he did all these things. He was dragging his son around in and out of a homeless shelter. Like I'm not going to go with the storyline and we can debate about it. I know how it made me feel. Anybody want to debate? Let's talk about it. But I know how I felt about what was going on and what he did. But for him, the success, getting to the bag, the money was his happiness, right? It wasn't I would have my family together. All he cared about was his son, and he did keep his son. So, I'm not going to say anything about that. But, um, you know, other people might have had different opinions. Some people turned it into like, oh, the wife just did not believe in him, and she should have believed in him, and she didn't believe in him. Like I said, we can debate and we can talk about this, but not here. But either way, that is his happiness, right? So he just can't. He's crying. he is just so excited and happy. Okay, so the next clip I'm going to show you is a different type of happiness. So please hold while I share my screen. Oh, I'm learning, I'm learning. One day I am going to get it all together. And all right. So here is my screen for you guys all to see. Uh, oh, there we go. So this is Patch Adams. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. Here's a little clip.
Yes, I know there is no sound. There is a technical difficulty. Go to YouTube and search Patch Adams 4/10 movie clip. I want to help people 1998.
So if you've ever seen this movie, Patch Adams, who is played by Robin Williams, he's a medical student, becomes a doctor. He uses humor, clowning, and empathy to connect with his patients, right? So he doesn't want that medical model, when interacting with the patients. Like his happiness is creating happiness. Here's another, just a little clip. I'll show you a little bit about what he does. He's a real person. It's based off a true story.
Yes, I know there is no sound. There is a technical difficulty. Go to YouTube and search Patch Adams 5/10 movie clip, The Children's Ward, 1998.
So this is an example of another type of happiness that he is, you know, following and that he wants in his life. I hope the other video came up because that's the first time I tried to screen share. If not, I'll figure out how to re-record it and put it back in there. But Patch Adams was a great movie. It was very light. It was very loving. The possibilities, if that's how we interacted with people all the time, right? Is that what happiness looks like? Evoking that type of happiness, cultivating that type of happiness when we interact with each other and we interact with people. So I think it's a good movie. If you've never seen that movie, see it. So just a sidebar too. Robin Williams, the actor who played Patch Adams, he committed suicide, and a lot of people thought it was because of depression, but it wasn't. He had dementia that was getting worse, and he ended up committing suicide. The symptoms were getting very difficult for him. So that was a misconception that he committed suicide because he was depressed, even though I'm sure, his mental health had taken a toll when it came to um, dealing with that level of dementia. So here we are. We have two movie examples that we were looking at. Another one that popped in my head when I was like just researching and kind of looking at this was Acrimony, right? The Tyler Perry movie. What does that have to do with happiness? Well, again, here we are. We see that the male character, right? He it has this invention and he's like, just, one more time, one more time, one more time, one more time. I'm going to get it. And when I get it, all our problems are going to be, taken care of, just hang in here with me. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Right. They end up breaking up. He ends up hitting it big. Right. Whew. Gives her a substantial amount of money. Should have been 50% because she was there the whole time, but I'm sure maybe it was. I don't know. But it's just movies, right? It's just movies. And then I thought about it. I wonder, did the character Will Smith was portraying, did he give his wife any money when he finally made it after all the sacrifices before? So I don't know. I was just wondering, but that's another podcast, right? So he gives her this money, and if you never seen the movie, she gets angry with her family. I should have never listened to you guys. She tries to get back with him. He's moved on. It turns into this scene. If you didn't see the movie, go see the movie. It's acrimony. So another form of happiness, right? One wants stability, purpose. The other one maybe chasing a check, even though it was his life work, it was his life passion, right? So where's the balance between following your dreams, failing to meet your responsibilities, and then maybe hitting it big on the end? It doesn't mean that someone didn't believe in you, right? It's not what it means. You have to move forward with life, and you have to life and you have to work in this life and maintain in this life. So whatever it is you're chasing, it impacts other people, right? So kudos to them in our story land, in our movie time. But that is another form of happiness with acrimony. So three movies, three outcomes, three different depictions of happiness. So I'm still like, wow, what is this happiness? What am I personally looking for? What are you personally looking for? What do these things look like in our life? Right? What do they look like? Um, Something is missing, right? maybe in my unhappiness, I'm missing the hedonic happiness, right? That there's not these things that are happening that are sparking fireworks, right? That are making me smile. Because I feel like I'm content, right? My holistic self, looking at me holistically, right? I'm content. I'm happy with the decisions I've made, the healing I've been able to do, the peace that I've created for myself. Happy about those things. So maybe it's those quick things, right? That pop up, going out, hanging out with friends, being with family, those little pops of joy that keep it spicy and keep it going. Who knows? I don't know. So we have two types of happiness. We have one that is short-term focused, and then we have another one that is a long-term focus. We have happiness that we see that teaches us, rewards the things that make us happy. We even see it in schools, behavior modification, behavior management. Kids are always working for something, stickers, treats, whatever, that's a form of happiness, right? You find something that brings you joy and you move towards it and you go towards it. Um, when I think about overall happiness, I said early when I started this that I would be talking about how working with the little kids has changed me. You always problem solve with the older kids. That's been my experience. With the younger kids, you just exist. You're just there, right? You're meeting needs, you're creating experiences for kids. They are so innocent. Children are so innocent. And I know that they are teaching me about happiness just by default because I had a procedure done. I had light anesthesia. When I came up from the anesthesia, the nurse asked me, why was I laughing? So I told her, I said, I'm an assistant principal at an elementary school, and I was dreaming about the kids when I was under. Like I was dreaming about them. When I came out, I remembered that I was dreaming about these kids and their innocence and just being around, or the silly things that my wonderful principal, shout out Heather Johnson, always making me do something. This last one was the carnival suit, turkey heads, coffee cups for Dunkin' Donuts, coffee cups for Halloween. I mean, she always has me doing something that brings a lot of joy and it brings a lot of happiness. And I bought us matching sneakers for the holiday season. And I told her, well, I wrote it to her and then we discussed about it. It wasn't about the sneakers as the gift. It was the reminder for her to do what makes her happy, right? And to use those sneakers to find the time for herself, right? To get out of there and find that life work balance so she can continue to find that joy with those children, right? So the sneakers were very symbolic, but these kids, um, they don't have delayed responses to joy. When they're happy, like they're happy, right? They're just there. They're just existing. And I don't think that we exist enough. I think that we get older and we get responsibilities and we forget this little part, right? The small part of joy, this little slice of happiness that is all around us. I think that we forget about that. And I think life beats us up and we don't know how to take joy in the moment, right? So I'll be happy about it later. I'll move on. I've done that so many times in my life. Something great would happen to me, and it's like, okay, I'll deal with it later. Like, we'll celebrate, we'll do whatever later. It's not really that big of a deal for me, right? Not at all. So being in the moment. So working and being around children, even when I was at the high school, like I would always go to, we had a very high special ed population and a program there. And I would just, when I was having a bad day, that's where I would go, right? It's like no pressure, no expectations, just the students are there and they're smiling and they're happy to see you and they embrace you and you are the best thing since food, sliced bread. I'm a somebody superhero in the elementary school. Just the littlest things make them happy and they're so appreciative for it. And it's like, wow, where does that fit in on our happiness scale? Where does it fit in? All right, so being able to let your hair down, play, be playful, laugh. Some people say I'm super loud, or I've been told I'm crazy. Some of the things I say, I mean, I think I could do stand-up comedy at some point, but when you have a lot of strife in your life, or a lot of things have happened to you in your life, or you have a lot of experiences that aren't always positive, you're always looking for a way to be happy, right? To find that joy, to bring the joy, to be a light in someone else's darkness, because you know what it's like to operate in the darkness. So finding that happiness and really just being there and being present in it and enjoying it and playing and letting your hair down and doing all these different things. That's what's important. It doesn't hurt to smile. It doesn't hurt to laugh. I will always crack a joke, make a joke, cut a joke. But sometimes I'm so good at it, people don't think that, anything could possibly be wrong with me. No, it's work. It is work to choose happiness. It is work to smile. It is work to have joy, right? Because you have to constantly tell yourself, this is where I'm going to be. As crappy as this world is and the things that are going on around us and these experiences, guess what? You have to tell yourself, I'm not going to let that take me anywhere. I just got done listening to slash reading the Let Them book.
Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
And I can't wait. We're going to be talking about this. So if you read this book or you listen to the audio book, chime in. Chime in. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about this book because I've been letting them, my adult life, I've been letting them. And I was told I was wrong. So I want to have dialogue about this conversation because this woman is telling everybody, let them, and wow, she is blowing up. I think it was a great book. She had some really concrete examples and real life associations that she made that really like put it in perspective, right? She really put it in perspective. I love the book. Um, well, I listened to it first and then I bought it because I'm like, oh, I can really use this and this can help a lot of people, right? So if you didn't read this book, I'm asking you to get it. If you did read it, let me know so we can come on and we can talk about it because I want to talk about this book. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. So give yourself that permission to enjoy all the happy moments, to live in the moment, to find the joy in the moment, even when bad things happen, right? You can experience two opposite feelings at the same time. You can. You can be happy and sad. I think that I show that, right? That's something that I model, like I have been sad. Yes, I have been, but I'm still laughing. I'm still finding joy in the moment, right? So when I think about, is it that type of happiness that I'm missing, or is it more of a long-term happiness, that sense of fulfillment and satisfaction? I think maybe I've just been in a funk and it's because of grief. And that's what's stopping the full happiness vibe or enjoyment vibe or joy vibe or whatever you want to call it, right? That's what I think it is. Um, you know, Depression looks a little bit different, right? Because we always need to evaluate. You always need to check in. You always need to make sure that what you're feeling and what you are experiencing is not impacting your mental health to a point where you might need treatment. So while we're here real quick, let me just go over these signs and symptoms because I'm going to always try to be 100% honest, right? So I had to look and I had to make sure, gosh, I'm not depressed. Like, what is going on here? Like, what is going on? I was battling. I was struggling. I was not happy, right? I think I'm coming out of it. Praise God. But I wasn't. And it is what it is. It's just where I was at. So let me just give you some signs of depression. If you're a person that is struggling and you're not sure, here's some signs of depression: persistent low mood, feelings of sad, empty, hopeless, and irritable. No, I'm not really irritable. Don't feel hopeless. Don't feel empty. Just sad, right? But if you feel those things, those persistent low moods, accompanied with those other things, you might need to talk to someone. Loss of interest, not enjoying activities you once loved, right? If I ever said, I'm not going to see Raheem Devon, y'all better get me some help. That's all I'm saying. Y'all better get me some help. That is something that brings me joy, right? So that would be a sure, ring the alarm for Kelly, because if she's not moving behind that man or going to see that man when he's obtainable and close to go see, something's wrong with her, right? If I tell you I'm not reading anymore or I stopped creating, right? Those of you who know me know I'm always doing something. That would be a worry. Energy changes, fatigue, lack of energy, sleeping too little, sleeping too much, right? Sleep disruption, things like that. Maybe you don't want to get out of the bed. That could be a problem. A mental health issue or physical issue. Any appetite, weight changes, gaining weight, losing weight. People stop eating, right, when they're depressed. Um, any type of cognitive issues. Are you having trouble concentrating, remembering, making decisions? This is big, right? You start forgetting stuff or you just can't focus. That could be a sign that something is going on as well. Do you feel worthless or have feelings of guilt? Signs of depression. Any physical complaints that are like unexplained aches or pains, like you're having all these aches and pains that maybe you didn't have before. And one of the ones that needs so much attention is any type of suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts of self-harm or death, right? Having a plan, talking about committing suicide. So those are some warning signs that someone might be struggling with depression. You feel like you have any of these warning signs, go talk to your general practitioner. Talk to them. See, do you need to maybe see a psychiatrist? Do you need to see a counselor? Should you be talking to someone? Again, your primary care physician will screen you for this, and you should all get screened when you go to the doctors anyway. So please do not sit back and not address this if you feel like something is off. Okay. If you feel like something is off, please. It could be more than just grief, or it could be more than just, I'm just not happy, right? There could be something else going on. So you owe it to yourself to get that checked, right? As you should. So here we are coming on the end. I have had happiness through achievement, some amazing life events, being strong, being helpful. Um, but inside the happiness it was only temporary. So I think when we get a certain age, I kind of talked about this earlier, that we want more in our life, right? It's not about achieving. Oh, I have achieved so much in my life. And it wasn't until in those moments of achievement that I just wasn't fulfilled, right? So I knew that there was more. I knew that I had to get more and be more, and figure out what that was, because the happiness, it was attached to conditions, right? It wasn't my core. It wasn't deep in what it was. Here I am, do. And yep, I got this degree. I got that degree. I did this. I did that. I wrote this. I made that. I went here. I went there. And all that to me means nothing. It means nothing. And if you know me, you know that I definitely fall short in that category of celebrating myself. So um, I say that to say this. Sometimes happiness is just peace. It's rest. Finding those things that make you the calmest. Some of you need to learn how to say no. That could be happiness. Choosing yourself without guilt. Stop people pleasing. That could be happiness. All these things, our internal world and our external world. Sometimes the outside doesn't look like the inside. Sometimes they collide. And sometimes it isn't pretty. So sometimes happiness is just, I'm in my bubble and I'm in my space and I'm just happy. I'm peaceful. I'm calm. So many people say, I'm protecting my peace. And that is what happiness is to them. What is happiness to you? What is your happiness, right? Not asking you what your reason why is, not asking you why you're getting out of bed in the morning, not asking you any of that stuff. What I'm asking you is, what's your happiness? What makes you happy? What is happiness defined to you? What does that look like? Is it attached to pleasure or is it attached to purpose? What does that look like for you? What are you chasing? What are you chasing? All right. So we talked about Hallmark happy. This is the teacher in me. We got to review. Hallmark happy is what we expect. What are we taught to expect, rather? What we say, what someone tells us happiness is, right? We talked about Hollywood happy, what happy looks like in these movies. We talked about that. We talked about kid happy, no restrictions, no boundaries, right? Kids are just happy. They're just happy. That quiet happy that represents our peace and alignment and our meaning. And the human happy, um, which is, I think, what we all engage in, the human happy experience. Um, this is what real life is, right? The human happy experience. What is happiness for you? What does it look like? So maybe happiness was never supposed to be perfect, right? Maybe it was never supposed to be this Hallmark card. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be loud for the whole world to hear, or polished, tucked in a professional's cave. Maybe it's not supposed to be any of this. Maybe it doesn't come with a soundtrack or a neat ending. You know how it's all packed up in the movie. At the end, we know how it's going to end. Maybe it doesn't wrap itself up with a smile that stays all day. Because that's another thing that we tend to associate happiness with, that someone is walking around smiling and they're spreading the joy. Those people can be some of the unhappiest, hurt people. Don't let the illusion fool you. Just because somebody is walking around smiling, happy, hooting and hollering, that means that they're really happy. That's just their external expression. It's what you're seeing on the outside. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going on the inside. So I'm going to say it because I always do. Be kind, right? Be kind. Maybe happiness is choosing your peace over someone's drama, over someone's pressuring you, setting a boundary when you need to set one, feeling proud of yourself when nobody else doesn't acknowledge what you do. That could all be happiness. If you wait for happiness to come to you, you're not going to get it. I really believe that. So I think the condition of happiness is you. You know what it is. You know what you want. You know what it looks like for you. The question is it sustainable? And is it true? Is it accurate? Or is it just a temporary fix to get you through the moment and then you're chasing the next high of happiness, right? What is it? So don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to change what you think that happiness should look like. Don't, because we're all chasing something. What are you chasing? What are you chasing? Um, I want you to think about who taught you what happiness should look like. See if you see any patterns. Who taught you what happiness looked like? And what type of happiness do you want moving forward? Do the things that you align and believe in align with your happiness? Because sometimes your unhappiness can come from when these things don't align. You're doing something that directly is clashing with your core values. So keep that in mind too. So just a little chit chat about happiness, nothing major, something light, something little. I'm going to keep continuing to progress in this space, right? Again, you know how I feel. I don't like talking to myself, so I'm always going to say that, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. I have some exciting shows lined up coming to you live where I will be talking with people. So I hope you enjoyed the first launch of the live episode with the men in mental health, and we will be doing that again real soon. So check in, tap in. Most important, I need you to be well. I need you to be well. So grace, peace, and blessings over your life. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next podcast.